We're starting now or at 3:02?
Yeah, please start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar titled Scan, Pay, Go, Artificial Intelligence at the Checkout. My name is Juby Jose. I'm director at Intel India, and I'll be your host for this session today. Before we deep dive with our panel of experts here, let's take a look back. How in the previous technology waves, what's been common across the previous technology waves, be it personal computers, wireless networks, or cloud computing? All of these have become foundational technologies today. We take them for granted. We wake up in the morning, we reach out to our personal computers to check emails. We check our social media status on smartphones. These are foundational technologies, and we do take them for granted. And every industry vertical has adopted all of these technology waves. They've adopted it and also benefited from it, be it for increasing revenues, lowering costs, or both. And we at Intel believe that artificial intelligence, or AI, is at an inflection point in this decade. The ability for machines to comprehend or understand visual and speech data will unlock a new level of productivity for you and me, be it in our professional lives or personal lives. And that really is the motivation for this session today, where we try and explore the opportunity for artificial intelligence in the world's biggest industry, which is retail. And as prior technology waves have shown, early adopters will have the biggest sustainable advantage here. So with that stage and context, let me go ahead and introduce my panel of experts today. Starting in alphabetical order, Mr. Ashish Oberoi, IT Head, Max Hypermarkets. Welcome, Ashish. Okay.
Unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Juby. So,
Glad. Yeah, I'll introduce all the panelists, and then we can start with opening comments. Welcome, Ashish, to our session today. Next, we have Mr. Baskaramoorthy, Vice President at Posiflex Technologies. Welcome, Baskar.
Thank you, Juby.
Okay. We have Deepinder Singh, IT Head at Namdhari Group. Welcome, Deepinder. G.R. Srikkanth, sir, Executive Director at RP Sanjiv Goenka Group. Welcome, sir.
thank you.
And also, pleasure to welcome my colleague, Raghu Bhatt, Principal Engineer at Intel India.
Thank you, Juby.
Okay. All right. So we want to talk about, we've all seen many technology waves prior to AI. And we want to try and focus on use cases enabled by AI, which are prime for adoption as we speak today. So I want to start with opening comments from all of you. If you can outline that all of you are leaders in your respective organizations, all of you follow technology very closely. In your opinion, what is the one single biggest AI use case? If you could name one AI use case which you feel will have the biggest impact on customer satisfaction at the storefront. If I can start, Ashish, I'll start with you.
Okay. So, Zubi, if before getting into AI, I think we need to understand what is the perspective of our customer journey in the store, or you can say that what are the business proposition that we follow with the customer is. I think one is most important value to the customer, which gives a better price to the customer while they're visiting the store. The other one is product availability. And the last one and not least is the convenience part. Okay. So I think on all the perspective, AI can help in all areas, whether it is a product availability at store, or you can say the convenience part is very much customer focused as of now. If they enter into the store in hypermarket scenario, I think we can help them to have all the product available, which is the customer is looking. And the most strategic part of convenience, which is at the end, because customer is entering into the store, and they are coming for buying their monthly basket or maybe kind of weekly basket that they are coming. But at the end, I think most of us, we realize as a customers that we don't have to spend time at the checkout, and how easily that customer can get it checkout immediately to the store. While browsing, they can spend more time, but while checkout is one area where customer is not spending time and they want an hassle-free checkout in the current scenario.
All right, all right. So Deepinder, if I may come to you, if you have to state in your opening, as an opening comment, that what are the 1 or 2 AI-based use cases that you're actively tracking for the storefront?
Yeah, see, basically, when we say AI, it's basically AI has to serve two purposes. One is from the business perspective, another is from the customer perspective. We need to keep upfront the customer requirements, needs, and his convenience. So when we talk about customer, as soon as he put his step into store, we need to make sure all his requirements are met. Whatever he need should be put on full. And like Ashish said, the last experience is how easily he can check out. Now, the thing is like how easily we are able to put across his products, his needs from his basket. And from the business perspective, we need to make sure he always go away with the basket full, right? Full plus valuable thing. And the checkout is the one experience where we have seen most of the stores where there is long queues. Although customer shops in aisles, they can easily pick on the floor. Guys can help customer to pick all those items as per his need. But ultimately, he suffers at the checkout time. He has to wait for long queues. Some things are accepted, some are not accepted, some are scannable, not scannable. All these things. So these are the things which has to be addressed by AI well advanced. Now there is even discussion. We say a customer can do the self checkout, or he himself can check out, so that we can get away from the manual intervention. There's another discussion that we should not allow customer to access his gadgets. We should make sure that he access our gadgets, make use of our AI, and journey should be seamless, so that his concentration should be only and only in our store and items.
Okay, that is interesting. Srikkanth sir, are you there, or should we come back to you? Okay, all right, great, you're back. So Srikkanth sir, you have a wealth of experience across multiple functions in the retail industry. So quick opening comments from you. If you had to invest X rupees in a new technology initiative, what would that be?
Yeah, sure. Thanks first of all, Juby. And before start this, I'll give one example of what happened yesterday. Yesterday there was a news of this Imran Khan addressing, while sitting in jail, he's addressing lakhs of followers over social media by using a speech recognition AI. So the advantage, there is no point in discussing advantage, because as you rightly said that this is the order of the day and it's a basic necessity. Now coming to the retailers, was where they need to invest in AI. I definitely go with the predictive analysis, where predictive analysis in the how the customer shops, how your inventory management. A major problem, like Ashish also said, the major problem what retailers will have generally during the seasons, during the peak time, there will be lot sales. During this period, there's a struggle in managing the inventory, a struggle inside the store, there's a checkout, because sizable crowd, extremely long queues, time for checkout, and people are standing in queues. And there are cases that they drop the basket instead of waiting in a time for checking out and all. So sometimes this experience can frustrating. This entire retail is an experience, because people come and shop, they kind of have having their tons of works leaving aside, they'll shop for accomplishing one for retail therapy, and second thing buying the basic purchase. So it's all about the experience. So unless they'll get experience, a better experience, of course, as we moving 20 years ago, what experience customers have today, certainly there is high degree of increase is there, but due to adopting this, embracing these new technologies, a retailer can provide much more experience to the customer. Uh, on the contrary, it also helps the retailers to manage their warehouses, to manage their stores, because generally what happens is there are different kind of category of your stocks. Some A level stocks which is be highly required, they may not be in supply because the planning, how predict, we cannot predict the exact analytics, but based on the technologies what we have, especially during the checkouts and in-store technologies, once installed, we can predict sales directly, we can predict customers behavior, we can also predict how your sales, your how your sales is going to improve, and what parameters we need to consider to make the experience better. So certainly, retailers has definitely has to consider investing in these kind of technologies.
Okay. That's an interesting point. What you're suggesting is that it should not be a one-off touch point with the customer, be it at a checkpoint or at the store, but the time series data has to be leveraged to conduct predictive analytics, right, to retain that relationship with the customer. Okay, thanks for that. Bhaskar, coming to you. You were a veteran in this industry. Posiflex is a world leader in point of sale devices, and you've seen multiple technology waves in the point of sale device. So what's your bet on the next big thing?
My bet is no different from the veterans who's already expressed. But however, with the unique experience that I have, like you are seeing, the point of sale is the culminating point of the customer experience or a journey within the store. No matter whether you sell grocery or a fashion retailer or personal care products, the last mile experience that has been measured is the checkout counters. Okay, and checkout counters has been always embraced from the past. Like you have a typewriter kind of a machine to a cash register, electronic cash registers, to a computer system, to a point of sale system. And today we have high-end point of sale system. And again, we have a barcode scanners, which is one directional scanner to a two-directional scanner, two-side scanners. I have my personal experience of working with Spencer's and later on with the food world. Stood in the checkout counter, show the cashiers how the barcode has to be scanned, because in the past we have more of a tabletop scanners. Okay, the products are scanned by swiping on top of the scanners, then later on the vertical scanners has come in, right? So there has always been a question why the checkout performance is not 95% above. So is the barcode is a problem, is the scanner is a problem, or the experience of the user is a problem? Okay, so if you ask me, upon having all this kind of understanding of the retailer and the users and the customers, me being a customer and we all being a customer, okay, definitely AI can do many things within the store, but one thing which needs to improve is definitely the last mile billing. It has to be fast. Okay, for that it's just not only a technology but also user experience, like the user training, that is the cashier training. So how do I manage the cashier training becomes a critical, but we all can adopt the technology, but however we cannot change the cashiers at this point of time. So today I find increasingly difficult because the number of stores that they are opening up. Okay, you always have a trained cashier today, but tomorrow you will not have the same trained cashier because every retailer is opening multiple shops. So the trained cashiers are always in demand, like your AI engineer. Okay, trained cashier is always in demand. So the retailers, another biggest challenge to keep their customers happy is how do I train my cashiers? So that is where I find the AI is probably Vision AI, or the AI can do a lot more thing to do the retailer with the fast checkout and trained, or how do I have an untrained cashier to be acting as a trained cashier? So that's something where the technology can help, is what I feel.
Okay, thanks. So I can speak from my experience. So I spend my fair share at a supermarket, at hypermarkets every weekend. And I can tell for myself that I'm okay to spend 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour if the store has apparel as well at the store. But when I come to the checkout, I do not wish to spend more than 5 minutes, right? Even though I've spent the last hour scouring the store. So clearly the checkout performance, it's become an expectation. It's become a basic expectation of the customer that if I have to spend more than 5 minutes, that probably sours my experience at the store. And there have been multiple technology improvements over the years, barcode being the biggest, that has significantly brought down the time taken for each transaction. And we at Intel are working to drive that even much faster than what it is today. Now, I'll now request my colleague Raghu to start off a technical overview of how we are trying to further kill the wait time at the checkout counters. But before that, as Raghu sets up, I just want to pose a follow-up question that every new technology has to be associated with a fair share of skepticism, right? The right questions have to be asked so that we are not chasing a hype, right? But we really extract the merit of the technology. So if I have to ask our three retailer representatives on the panel, that if a technology claims to kill the the product scan time, or reduce or improve the product scan time twice as much, it makes it twice as fast as the current status today. If a technology claims to make the checkout process twice as fast as it is today, what would be your probing question against that? We'll start with Ashish, then to Deepinder and to Srikkanth. And then Raghu will try and answer some of that skepticism.
Okay. I think initially I talked about mainly on the checkout experience. So definitely it helps that if my speed will be better in terms of scanning all the articles and the seamless checkout experience for the customer. Because while interacting cashier to the customer, there are a lot of touch points. So one is like you get the number, then you enter the number, then you have scan all the barcode, then you have different offers to be shown. So system runs those offers, and at the end you have a payment also. So all those things will have compiling will be the speed of kind of a bill to the customer. So of course, if this whole process get down a good amount of number, and the speed will be better. So everybody is looking to check out in a minute or 2 or a 5 minute you're talking about. So that's of course it helps, and that is one area that all retailers are looking into and focus. Somewhere technology can help without less human intervention, or with the help of cashiers, we will bring the experience better.
Okay. So if I have to, kind of paraphrase a key point that you mentioned, is that you want to make sure that the claim is not a vanity claim. That twice as fast, you want to make sure that the technology has comprehended the entire time that comprises of checkout, right? Which is the time to load the item, scan the item, bill the item, pay the item. All that together has to be, faster, right? So that's a good skeptical question. Deepinder, so if you get this claim that I can make your checkouts twice as fast, what would be your skeptical question?
See, that would be a wonderful experience from a customer perspective. Like if you are able to bill him or take him to check out half of the time what exactly he's selling. The two concerns are, one is how accurately those items are being detected. Second thing is how easily he is able to manage himself. If it is a self-checkout, how easily he is able to guide himself to as a self-checkout. Second thing is, with respect to fruits and vegetables, I'm not sure how easily it can detect fruits and vegetables, because those are neither barcoded. They are quite natural, right? You cannot identify within a variety with the same crop. So we need to understand how easily it can identify those fruits and vegetables which looks similar. Prices are quite different, right? Their tastes are different. So we need to look into that. But yes, it would be a great something. There is a new concept going on along with self-checkout, is a RFID enabled basket trolleys, and that's one of them. So as soon as you load it, you are as good as checkout.
Right. A good point. So your question would be that does it work on non-barcoded items as well, right? Okay, cool. Srikkanth sir, your critical questions against the claim.
Yeah, my straight question is, what are the difficulties integrating the with the current system? What are the new technology? What is the If there are any difficulties or you need to change the entire system. So this will be the first question. And second thing, how this payments interface will be integrated. It's a part of this. Again, I need to have a separate payment gateway is a part of this. So these are the two questions.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. So now I'll request my colleague Raghu to give us a quick technology overview, which helps to kind of demystify that what's the potential for AI at the checkout and what is the rationality in the claims of twice as fast. Over to you,
Okay.
Raghu.
Okay, thank you, Juby. So if I may start with my understanding of what my co-panelists and experts have talked about, right? So in terms of why exactly are we looking at artificial intelligence at the checkout, there are two themes that are coming out, right? One is in terms of the customer experience, how do I make it better? But at the same time, I do it at no additional cost. I mean, in fact, if it is able to reduce the cost at which I need to run my business, even better, right? So that's one summary of it. Then we also had, in response to your second question, Juby, a set of questions, right? So, I mean, of course, it was not planned that way, but in a way, the a few slides that I've put together hopefully helps address these questions. So the slide itself, the way I have structured it is, I'll talk about AI at a very broad level in a retail context, and then I'll jump into self-checkout, and specifically with respect to fruits and vegetables, which is technologically an underserved category today, right? The barcodes are mainly for packaged goods. For fruits and vegetables, we do not have the support of technology today, right? Or at least at the level that it is there for packaged items. So very quickly, let me okay, I hope my screen is visible. So very quickly, needless to say, and as echoed by all the experts in this panel, AI in retail market is a happening thing, right? And global statistics are confirming the same in terms of the next 10 years, the CAGR, they're predicting it to be 30%. In terms of market size, they're saying it will grow to be 100 billion, right? And computer vision will drive some of those use cases, as well as the specific solution segment and the advertising segment, right? Now, this is the advertising segment, more catering to the customer experience kind of a thing. And also talking in terms of the geo-specific, and I just called out India as one of the, as per this particular report, India is called out as the fastest growing market by country, at least, right, in the next 10 years when it comes to adoption of AI in retail. Now, also, if you, a survey was done, and this is a report that I've taken from right, the numbers that you see is something that I've taken from a report. So more than 75% of the enterprise managed data will be at the edge, right? And I'll come to why I'm stressing on the edge part a bit. Just for clarification, what I mean by edge is any deployment which is very close to the end consumer, where the experience and the analytics are run closer to the end consumer than, say, on the cloud, right? So edge is more towards the end consumer as compared to a cloud-based deployment. So 75% of the data that enterprises will generate will come from the edge. 58% of the CEOs, they have indicated that they will invest in AI, and that is borne out in the global statistics that I just called out. In terms of data, data will be a challenge and is already a challenge when it comes to training your AI models and getting it to the kind of accuracies you need. Synthetic data will dominate in the years to come, and with all the generative AI, the stable diffusion kind of models coming through, a lot of data will be generated synthetically, right? I mean, this particular survey pegged that number at around 60%. And by 2026, 50% of the AI deployments will be at the edge, right? And again, no surprises if you think about it. A lot of these industries, be it retail, be it healthcare, banking, and finance, the end experience is more closer to the consumer than some of the software services that one enjoys from the cloud, right? So no surprises there. This is just confirming what all of us said with respect to AI coming into a lot of these use cases. Now, but AI does come with quite a few challenges, as the panelists also called out, in terms of what are those top two skepticisms they may have. Right? One is the complexity of deployment. I mean, just look at the way AI has evolved in the last 5-10 years. I mean, forget 5-10 years. In the last 1 year with generative AI coming in, everything has changed in terms of the kind of compute you need, the kind of deployment you can make, the kind of technology solutions you need to kind of tap into those AI capabilities. The complexity is pretty humongous, right? For an enterprise to be able to digest all of that complexity and then deploy the solutions is a tough ask, right? One is a complexity part of it. The second part of it is the cost. Again, needless to say, AI doesn't come cheap, at least today. So one of the challenges that AI is not just in terms of the initial installation cost, but on a recurring basis, how do we drive that cost down, right? So getting a handle on the cost will be a key challenge. And again, and as I said, for the enterprises, while customer experience has to be improved, the expectation also is that it doesn't drive their cost significantly up, right? And this one directly eats into or directly challenges on that particular account. The third one is on the operationalization of the solution. We have seen a lot of and again talking from a retail experience, we have seen a lot of great proof of concepts pilots happening, but in terms of actual deployment, there is always a big gap, right? Not all pilots proof of concepts translate into deployment. And that's because AI is not just about a point solution. It actually impacts the entire workflow in a retail shop, right? So how do we manage that transformation? How do we manage that, taking AI from the lab to the actual field, right? So that operationalization of an AI is a significant challenge. And finally comes the question that is always at the back of our minds. I tap into the data to train my AI models, but what is the cost of using that data in terms of data security, in terms of privacy? I mean, at least in the retail context, mainly the data privacy than the data security. But how do you ensure that as a retail organization, how do you ensure that they're not subject to certain regulatory violations, etc. Right? So yeah, now store of the future, this is more to call out what my co-panelists, experts have already said. So AI will not just be about one solution, right? I mean, today we are talking about the checkout, that is at the end of the entire experience a customer has in a retail shop, right? AI will come in, to manage the experience of the customer right from the time the customer steps into the store till the time that the customer, steps out of the store. The checkout, as Juby also highlighted, happens to be one of the painful part of the checkout because the rest of it can be managed. But in terms of the time one spends at the checkout, that's a significant problem statement. So even to solve that problem statement, the solution need not just start at when the customer comes to the checkout counter, right? I mean, you can track the customer's footfall within the store, and based on what items have been picked, you can have vision-based analytics coming in, picking all the details of the customer's experience in the store. And then when it comes to checkout, use all of that experience to make your checkout time that much slower, right? So the store of the future, as this CBI Insights picture calls out, will spread across your entire retail store, right? And video analytics is called out as one of the key enablers when it comes to customer experience. But it has to be privacy compliant, absolutely. Right, will help the retail organization uncover hidden insights, leading to better sales, delivering better customer service, reducing operational costs. So this is the expectation, right? Expectation to reality is a challenge, and it is still a challenge, right? I mean, though I come from the technology side, and we will talk about the capability of the technology, but equally true is the fact that the capability of the technology to operationalization of the technology is a challenge, right? So privacy compliant video will be a key enabler, and the video with respect to the context it gives will be a powerful ally, not just with respect to the customer's experience in that particular visit to the store, but also managing the customer's experience across visits to the store, right? That's where the customer engagement, store design, targeted merchandising, all of that comes into picture. The last one that I'll call out here is the loss prevention. So loss prevention is a problem statement in the industry today, irrespective of whether it is with automated checkout or without. automated checkout will add an additional dimension of challenge to the loss that the retailers see. But again, video analytics is also a mechanism to address some of those challenges, right? So what this slide calls out is the fact that there will be a lot more instrumentation of the stores in the future. All the sensors that you see at the top, a lot of that will come in, and managing that complexity of the data that's flowing in, along with the customer's own journey through the store. AI will be able to handle a lot of that complexity. Right, as a few of the retail use cases, wherein you're already seeing AI, touchless checkout, self checkout, touchless checkout. We will talk about that in a little bit more detail. Loss prevention, of course, inventory management, as Srikkanth sir talked about, in-store analytics, and this can actually again spread the entire floor of the retail store. And the last but not the least, the planogram compliance. This is just a sample of a few top retail use cases which are today being addressed with AI. Today we'll focus more on the self-checkout, right? Now, one of the things I think Srikkanth sir talked about it with respect to, I have my current installation on the technology front. How do I ensure that I can tap into a lot of that infrastructure without needing to bring in a completely different kind of new infrastructure? Because that kind of shoots up the cost and hence the barrier when it comes to technology adoption. But one definitive trend that will happen is with respect to, instead of having those analytic silos, today you have, for example, in the previous fall, I showed you some 7 example use cases. But if those 7 examples came in 7 different implementations, the IT personnel in the retail enterprise, they will, be the one who will be challenged the most, right? So you don't need this silos. It will jack up your cost, right? So what you need is more the one that you see on the right hand side of the screen, which is one infrastructure which can manage the entire gamut of applications that would be required on the shop floor, right? Again, in terms of the architecture, how do you do? Those are more the details on the technology front, but a definitive trend that you will see is a consolidation in terms of the kind of infrastructure that is required to run this analytics, and any platform that is able to consolidate but at the same time, allow those multiple different, varied, diverse applications to run. That kind of infrastructure will win, right? Now, I wanted to call out this one particular detail around visual AI processing at the edge, and why it is preferable, at least in the retail context, to do it at the edge, and then I'll jump into self checkout, right? So both in terms of inference training or retraining, doing it at the edge has a lot of benefits. One is with respect to your latency, right? So, for example, if I'm doing my prediction of what item I have purchased by sending the data to the cloud, the entire turnaround time is in the order of seconds. Whereas if I do it on the shop floor, it's in the order of milliseconds, right? Or at least a second. Lower latency. The second one is aggregation of multiple cameras in the store, right? So today we have stores which with incumbent cameras mainly doing surveillance kind of capabilities, but to be able to tap into those streams and start making sense of not just from a surveillance perspective, but the other use cases that I talked about, it always makes sense to have a local aggregator, again with terms and conditions apply, but it makes a lot of sense to have a local aggregation because it has a better context of what's going on in the store, and accordingly you can make much better decisions on top of that kind of an aggregated data. So local aggregator of multiple camera streams, reduce data movement costs because not everything need to go back to the cloud. That's the third part. Data privacy, right? Because what it allows you to is, all the faces you see in the shop floor, you can discard that on the shop floor itself. You convert all of the data into some kind of form of anonymized metadata, and the rest of the analytics is on top of that metadata and anonymized metadata, right? So in terms of being able to guarantee some of those regulatory requirements on privacy, data privacy, doing it at the edge has a much better chances of addressing those requirements than doing it on the cloud. And last but not the least, today, one model fits all is not really a model that's working, at least in the retail, healthcare, finance kind of a deployment, right? Where the service is more directed towards the end consumer, closer to the end consumer. Even in the retail context, shop A to shop B may not have the same kind of items in them. The kind of customers, based on the demography that particular locality has, the kind of customers coming in could be different. So the idea is, you start with a global model, but then you customize it for a specific retail store, right? What I call as local stuff. So a lot of those retraining, customization of AI model at the edge, at your retail shop, is something that is easier addressed with edge-based deployment than train those different variants of the models on the cloud and then manage the complexity of MLOps, right? So these are some definitive benefits of doing some of these visual AI analytics closer to the customer. Now, jumping into the checkout counter, maybe I'll not spend too much time on this slide because the experts have already spoken about. We've spoken about the transformation on the checkout scale from the traditional ID-based to self-checkout, barcode-based to the vision checkout that we're talking about today. And in terms of the key KPIs that are being tracked, it's more in terms of accuracy and the speed at which the inference happens, right? So I'll call out two terminologies which I'll use in this subsequent foil. One is the top 1 number, another one is a top K number, top 3 or top 6 number, right? The top one is when an AI model predicts, how sure are we that whatever it has predicted, the top item that it has predicted is the item that the customer has purchased. And top 3 is, should the top one fail, what are the chances that the item that the customer has purchased is in the top three selection, right? So the idea is, can I return back, from an AI model perspective, can I return a top 3 selection? And at the very minimum, the customer has to kind of look at those 3 items and select the item that the customer has purchased. But ideally, it should be the top one, a single screen where the customer need not even select which item he or she has purchased because the model is already done for that. So the accuracy that we're talking about, so top one is always will be a challenge for obvious reasons. So top one, today, I said 70% in the deck, but we are already looking at requirements in the order of 90% plus, and the top 3 is already in the range of 95% plus, right? So, but I'll use this top 1, top 3 terminologies in subsequent foils. So, so we do have one checkout, automated checkout solution for Vision POS. And I'm using this deck more to kind of explain the kind of technology ingredients that goes into building a solution, a checkout vision-enabled checkout solution. So Intel Automated Checkout is, think of it as an add-on software component on a camera-enabled POS machine. So it integrates with your traditional POS software, your ERP software, your POS application, including the front end, the payments, so on and so forth. Right, but what it essentially does is it manages the camera, looks at what the item the customer has packed, basically the customer's basket, and then predicts the item that is, right. So this particular Intel Automated Checkout solution, we started with fruits and vegetables, for the primary reason that it's one of those under-addressed segment. Today, as I said earlier, the consumer goods have the barcode already available for helping with the checkout, but for the fruits, you normally have the person manning this counter keying in a particular code, identifying the particular fruits or vegetable that the customers purchased, and then doing. So it's a 2-step compared to a single step for packaged goods, right? So what this solution does is it looks at the item and predicts which fruit or vegetable it is, right? So today we support more than 220 classes of fruits and vegetable. The scan latency itself is 100 milliseconds, but then, as was pointed out earlier, it's not just about, how fast the AI model can predict what item it is, but it's the entire, load the item onto the tray, predict, and then unload, right? So that is the time that we need to manage. But the model itself is able to do the prediction in approximately 100 milliseconds. And we have a very consistent API defined with which we can integrate into any of those ERP solutions. We have done it with 3 so far. And from an API perspective, it is rich enough to support. And we also intend, catering to some of the other applications that I flashed in the earlier foils. We also intend to build a lot more analytics into this capability as we go, right? So one key differentiator that we have brought in is something we call as continuous learning. Now, what is this continuous learning, right? So typically you have, in the shop floor, I talked about, the diversity on the shop, from shop A to shop B, even within a particular retail chain, as well as over a season, the items do vary, right? For example, your apple shimla, the beginning of the apple season looks a certain way, and at the end of the season looks a different way. Plus, over a week, the same apple or avocado will change its color because it will ripen and then it change color. So the point is, no matter what, you do need a mechanism to track those changing appearance of those cues, right? So the data heterogeneity is the first challenge. Then comes, the data itself is not available all the time. Based on seasonality, you could have it come in certain bursts. But the point is, whenever it comes, can you train on the available data, right? So that's the second one. Data does not come in all the time, but it comes in certain bursts. But when it comes in, can you train it with a little bit of data, right? 3-4 images. Can you start training your model and then have the model learn that new skill? And lastly, with respect to the model itself, no matter how many, irrespective of the data heterogeneity or, how the data flows in, you also have a challenge with respect to how do you manage the model, right? No matter, what those data challenges are, you want the model to learn very easily, in the sense, an operator on the shop floor should be able to kind of show the image, a couple of images, a video perhaps, and then have the model train itself. So that's one. Then secondly, it should not just because it's learned some 2-3 new skills doesn't mean that you need to bring in a new hardware. So the compute envelope is something you need to manage, right? And it should not forget old classes, right? Again, because these are POS machines on which we are training. We do not have the past data on which the model has been trained on. So the point is, when it learns the new data, it should not forget any of the past information, past classes that it has already learned on, right? So all of that requires a different kind of a methodology approach, and which is what continuous learning is. And this is a diagrammatic view of the same. So if you see, typically what happens is you train a baseline model on the cloud, and you push that model to the POS machine, right, for deployment. And then comes a new class which is introduced. So now you need to train the model. Now, one option, which is the incumbent option, is to send that data back to the cloud. You train and then push the updated model, but then that takes too much of a time, so not preferred, because customer experiences, customer will not come back to that apple because your POS machine has not identified the apple, and customer will not come back after 3 days to purchase it again, right? You want that experience immediately. So instead, what we do is we update the model locally. Now it also happens that, and then basically whatever metadata you need to send, you connect back to the cloud, including the model update itself. You can send it back to the cloud. But one of the challenges there is, this is one POS machine, but if I have a bunch of POS machines in the shop or across the retail chain, how do I update all of them, right? And that's where we also have a mechanism to distribute the local knowledge across the entire network of deployment, and that's federated learning. So we have 3 key pieces. One is with respect to the entire baseline model creation, then in terms of updating the model at the edge, and then finally in terms of distributing that knowledge across the deployment space, right? So that's federated learning. So all of this come in, and the good part is all of this done without any kind of data privacy kind of concerns, because the data is locally consumed, digested, and it's more the knowledge, anonymized knowledge, which is getting distributed. So with that, I'll just stop. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Raghu, for that overview. So to summarize, we started this presentation talking about how checkouts can be faster. And a quick, if I have to paraphrase the 15-minute presentation into 1 minute, it's all about running the AI model at the edge or at the store level and not having to go back to the cloud has a big impact on the speed of operations. That's what allows you to be fast. And what allows you to be accurate is the ability to learn continuously. It's not a one-time training, but it's a continuous learning as and when new varieties or new form factors are introduced. So thanks, Raghu, for that. So now going back to, I'll probably start with Deepinder. You had mentioned to me that 40% of your SKUs are fresh produce. So today, I think barcoded items have reached a level of efficiency with respect to pace of checkouts, but fresh produce hasn't. So can you outline that, what are some of the pre-processing steps that you do to make non-barcoded items as efficient as the barcoded items today? Be it in terms of training the cashier or stickers on fresh produce, any pre-processing steps that you do today?
So we divide F&B into 3 categories: fruits and vegetable. One is like there are certain items which move in a pre-packed form, right? We pack certain items, barcode, and as being these are fruits and vegetable, always few grams, always measure at 1 kg, 2 kgs. You need to put a actual weight on it and pre-pack into a certain limit. Now that's a one way. Second way is whatever customer picks on this floor, you pack it and barcode it. The second way. Third way is we need to train the cashier, identify the product, and bill it on the actual weight basis.
Okay. Okay. So these are the additional steps that are involved to make a fresh produce as efficient. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So here I want to bring in a global view as well. So Bhaskar, coming to you. So you have POS machines selling into multiple countries around the world, and you have seen the transition to camera-based checkouts and camera-based checkouts operating maybe at the same or even higher efficiency as barcode-based checkouts. So what can you talk to us about some of the global perspectives? What are the global transitions happening in the move from barcodes to camera?
The experience there comes from the efficient self-checkout to a vision checkout. So today, as Deepinder, Ashish or Srikkanth has still not experimented the self-checkout because maybe the discipline, the trust, the relationship with the consumer that we have today, or the crowd that we have, the retail space is not conducive enough sometime to adapt the self-checkout at this point of time. The globally, what people are already adapted is the self-checkout through barcode based. Okay, there are various methodology which you adapt barcode based, efficient and process and things like that. So today, what they also look at, can I improve the checkout process? Okay, there are ways in which the barcodes are not meaningful at the checkout time because it's not detectable. As Raghu explained, the fruits and vegetables is the biggest criteria over here. So, and today that becomes an integral part of our shopping. Today, I cannot go only for fruits and vegetables some other place and come to a grocery pack some other place. So it's normally 40, 60, 50, 50. Okay. So globally also like CVS and other customers already experimented and they are way ahead putting their plan. And I'm not talking about Amazon Go kind of thing. It is a typical checkout automator. Okay, there are a lot of traction happening. It's just not only a F&B for an idea, because even the pizza companies, even the pizza outlets, okay, in the US is also looking at adapting the vision-based checkout for the fast billing. Okay, so all this culminated to how fast I check out my customer and efficiently. Of course, you will always bring in a fraud detection and loss prevention. Okay, that's a different subject always, whether it's a barcode or a vision. Loss prevention always coexist with us. Okay, but leaving aside that, globally, there are a lot of traction happening and there are a lot of activities are happening. I think I don't believe that India is somewhere need to adapt or followers up to it. Probably we are also pioneers in it. We are almost the same benchmark of if Walmart or a CVS or a Tesco can do it. I think there's no difference that why our Indian born retailers that's got a rich experience cannot adapt it. So we're almost in the same stage.
Okay, thanks, Bhaskar. So, Srikkanth sir, I'd like to come to you. So, Bhaskar introduced the topic of self-checkouts. So, given your wealth of experience in the India market, what's your perspectives on India and the self-checkout opportunity? What's good, what's not?
Yeah, firstly, in true sense, are we ready for self-checkout? It depends upon the market because it's a two markets cannot be same. We have such a large geography and with 140 crores population, we have different cultures all across. So that fraud detection, that's one of the main thing. Because we know in India that shrinkage, that it's almost 1% of the retail sales. So considering this, are we ready for self-checkouts? Answer, it depends. Yes, we are ready. My personal opinion is that yes, we are ready for self-checkouts because we need to adapt. Gone are the days when technology implemented in one location after the use case has been proved, a concept, then it has been adapted or embraced in other location. That's gone. Today, what happened in one geography, immediately within second the same remodeled same thing adopted in elsewhere and being adapted. So I feel that we are already self-sustained and we are ready to take ready to embrace the self-checkouts.
Yeah. And also in terms of, if you could add a comment on training, right? Today, I'm sure you invest a lot of time and effort on training the staff so that the process happens efficiently. Now, when you try and move the burden of checkouts to the customer, is there an implication on, the UX, the UI of the POS machine needs to become much better than what it is today?
Yes, the technology, what currently we have the technology, I don't think entire industry as a whole industry is not having that such kind of interfaces what we need for a self checkouts, but we need to have invest in the technology. One also need to train the manpower, because we know that retail highest attrition in any industries, that is the retail industries, almost some say 60, some say 80, but anywhere it's more than 50%. So every 6 months we have a new person, so we need to impart training to the new manpower which is coming on the rules, as well as we also need to invest in technology. Parallelly, there is must be some awareness among the customers also, because the information is there when everyone open the phone, and they know that what other countries Amazon Go is adopting and what other self checkout models, but it may take some time for the customers also to acquainted with this. So what retailers generally, what we, nowadays information is free, so we can make aware the customers. So in your app you can do a self checkout model, you make a video and present it, and before entering just download the app. The customer can just download the app, they can go visit the store and they basket the thing goods, and they can make a checkout.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So Ashish, if I may come to you, so Max, as part of the Landmark Group, I'm sure you may have been part of prior, say, pilots on self-checkouts or camera-based checkouts. So could you share some of your experiences of prior pilots that you have conducted, be it in self-checkouts or anything related to faster checkouts?
Yeah, of course, Uri. So, I think before COVID, Max Hypermarket implemented an self-checkout solution. So, but we need to understand what is the journey in the store of our customer, because we sell all kinds of product to the customer, whether it is apparel or a fresh product or FMCG product, grocery product. We also have a loose product which customer take it from the store, and even in category like fish and meat. Okay, so all kinds of different categories, customer go and pick it up. So we used to have a the barcoding at fish and meat section, the fruit and vegetable section, or the loose product section. Okay, but at the end, while going to the final checkout, we have placed some pilot self checkout chaos, which customer scan all the products, because previously you already visited to those sections and barcoded your every product. But it seems like somewhere customer is spending time of different area to complete their basket. Okay, and I believe that there are other points which is like how the payment will happen at the time of self checkout and processes, all of that. Okay, that much of experience we have during before COVID we have done. But when I say in after COVID, the situation got totally changed. People will more digital and they're adopting those technologies very quick and fast. Even in if I talked about Landmark Group, we already have a solution of self checkout in other brands like Lifestyle, Max Buddy. You can experience. But I know that fashion have limited number of basket size. The customer can easily do their complete shopping. While come to the FMCG grocery retailer, sometimes your basket is very high. It is more than 30-40 items to complete the basket. So I think with that experience, we need to place good amount of these checkouts in the store. It's not one or two checkouts can be helping all of my customer experience, because customer coming with a different segment. There are customers which is coming less than 5 items or less than 10 items. So that segment we can immediately move to these kind of AI based checkout, and it could be hassle free from that segment. But what about my other customers that may be come and trained within that experience or within that store? That's how that we can bring those solutions.
Okay, interesting. So,
and one more point, Zubi, about global you're talking about. So, SPAR internationally, if I talked about running in 50 countries, and I think almost 15,000 stores we are running, with having 15 million customers every day they're coming to Spa store. Okay. And if I talked about Europe, it's almost 60% of their checkout is already converted into self-checkout manner. Even if they go to the F&B section, there is no person standing there and helping you to complete their pick and pack at the F&B counter. It's all the customer go weigh those product, put the barcode, and then go to the self-checkout section. That's how I think people, and even in India, I have seen after COVID, people are more digital, and even I'd say the government is moved more digitally to that direction. So that's how the awareness comes from the outside, but within that store, if I give better trainings to the staff or to the customer, that will more efficient for their complete journey.
Yeah. So I think you believe that we are primed for maybe new technology adoption, but we also need to have the right guardrails, right, to make sure that it is adapted for the local idiosyncrasies that we have here. And in that point, Deepinder, in our meeting prior to the session, you had mentioned about data privacy. Right. So as Raghu was highlighting, that's a crucial aspect when you're dealing with AI based on visual data. And that's why there's a lot of emphasis at our end on making sure that data does not need to leave the store premises for the immediate processing, but it's only the metadata that leaves the store. So, and clearly at a checkout counter, the camera is not really, facing or capturing the consumer data, but rather it's the items that are placed under the point of sale machine that it captures. But overall, when we're talking about AI and AI-based solutions based on visual data, what are some of the considerations that you would place with respect to data privacy? Deepinder, if I may come to you.
Yeah. So see, when we say AI, right? AI, we need to expand the boundaries from the store perspective, not only from the checkout perspective, but from the customer experience in the store. What is the personalized experience we are creating to a customer? How we are able to help our inventory management, supply chain, and how we are able to visually appeal the customer to certain items, right? So when we are trying to do that, that's where we need to be very considerable with respect to customer privacy. When we are trying to address all those business needs, what kind of a customer data we are capturing, what kind of a customer heat map we are capturing. We need to be very limited within the boundaries of rules and regulations, right? And in consent of customer, what kind of feels, what kind of moods we are capturing from a customer, happy mood, how we are going to target again, how we are going to bring back customer back to our store. So all that is part of, although business fulfillment, but yes, what is the customer privacy, how we are going to address that? Yes, with respect to self-checkout, or I can say touchless checkout, I don't find much issues with respect to privacy, but overall, yes, I do have certain concerns.
Okay. We are coming, we're at the top of the hour, we have 2 minutes. I'd like to give Srikkanth sir the closing comment. So you have seen multiple technology waves in the retail space over the period of decades. And every new technology needs to follow a technology adoption process, right? So I think all of us are in agreement that faster checkouts and possibly moving into self-checkouts is a prime opportunity. But how do you think the technology adoption wave will pan out or should pan out?
Maybe any new technology, it may takes time. There will be some kind of resistance. If you go back 1986, railway reservation ticket, when computer was introduced for railway reservation, a lot of operation, because now we can't imagine that railway ticketing or any ticketing without assistance of technology. So the technology What it took 30 years, now it may take 3 years to entire revolution of the AI. Of course, we have large language models which is coming into, and generative transformers are in place. And every day the new concept is coming. So first of all, not only retail industry, any industry, they have to adapt the new technologies. Otherwise, you will be absolute. Number one. Number two, not only adapting, you have to implement and execute it. So how you implement and execute? You adapt the systems, your technology, and the software, and you increase your capacity of infrastructures, and also you need to train the manpower. This is about the entire ecosystem. And thereafter, what the primary question about that regulation and compliances, what Deepinder Singh was saying about that data privacy, we also that need to be addressed. Thankfully, very recently in last this August only, we got a Data Protection Act, a personal digital personal data protection act, which clearly says earlier there was some kind of ambiguity. We don't know how to take the consent, we need to store, how long you need to store, what are the rights of a data principal, what are the rights of a data fiduciary, or rather duties of a data fiduciary. But now it has put to rest. We have a clear cut regulation in place. You take a informed consent of your customer, and you take the data, you process, you inform what kind of activities or processing you are doing with this data, inform the customer. So we have a compliance is also in place. So you have a technology, you have a compliances, rest we need to adopt. It depends upon, again, the individual companies as well as the individual retailers, how easy, how fast they can go and adapt, so that they definitely able to make their plans for the customers, be it the personalized marketing, be it the personalized promotions, or inventory management, customer services, the all. The end, I can put it in one word, and it's the end, it's a customer. We make all decision around the customer because he is the important, and without customer and no business exists. So to give the customers a memorable experience of shopping, like what you said and Raghu said about the pain points of customers, they go to the checkout. And if we create some kind of experience, pleasant experience rather to a customer, then is the customer happy? When customers happy, the businesses are definitely more happier than customers. So this is a small summary from my side.
Okay, thank you. We have come to the top of the hour. To summarize the discussion, I think all of us are in agreement that the customer is at the center of the interest, both from a business perspective, both from enabling the end-to-end experience. Customer has to be at the center, and the checkout experience is one of the biggest functions which determine the experience of the customer at the store. And we are at an inflection point. We have had multiple technology improvements at the checkout so far, and we are at an inflection point where that can improve order of magnitude better than where we are. But of course, it's a new technology. There is a technology adoption curve. And as I stated in the beginning, early adopters will probably have the biggest sustainable advantage when it comes to new technologies. So thank you all for sharing your thoughts today. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Thank you again, and we'll close for now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.